Now, in Matthew 3:16, I'd like to read 16 and 17. And Jesus, when he was baptized, went straightway up out of the water. Lo, the heavens were opened unto him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and lighting upon him. And lo, a voice from heaven saying, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. In other words, in whom I'm pleased to dwell in. Now we want to speak a few minutes on this bird. A dove has always been one of my favorite birds. And thinking of a dove is really, and a pigeon is the same bird. A pigeon is a domestic dove. They're both the same family. I've looked it up, and it is the same family, a pigeon and a dove. They're both of the same family. The habits of these birds are outstanding. I preached here some few years ago in a tent meeting out here with Brother Moore on the lamb and the dove. I guess you all remember that. How the dove is the most cleanest bird that we have. And the lamb is the most meekest animal that we have. They're both sacrificial bird and beast. How beautiful it's typed here as Jesus being the lamb and God being the dove. And the dove would not have settled on a wolf. His nature's not right. It couldn't have settled on a dog. His nature's not right. It had to be on a lamb. The two natures had to be the same. That's the way we have to be. Our natures have to change from the roaring sinner to the meekness of a lamb. And did you notice the dove led the lamb? And notice the lamb forfeit everything he had to the dove. And look where the dove led him, to crucifixion for the sins of us all. Now the dove, if God wanted to represent His Son, He was represented by the most cleanest and meekest animal on the earth, our earthbound creature. But when God represented Himself in the heavens was by the meekest and most cleanest bird there is in the heavens, a dove. Now a dove's vary, there's many different variations of them. Usually our turtle dove is kind of a gray-looking bird. And then there's a mourning dove, and then there's the evening dove. There's also called the Sonora Dove that we have at home. He's a little gray fella, little bitty fella with red stripes on his wings. There's many different kinds of doves, and they vary in colors. So is there the same thing in the pigeon. Now, the dove is a very odd constructed dove because his habits that he cannot eat anything that's unclean. He just couldn't do it because he's not built for it. Now, I've always talked about the dove being a symbol of God and the crow being a symbol of the hypocrite. A crow can sit on an old dead carcass and eat all day long and fly right out in the field and eat wheat with the dove. But the dove can eat wheat, all right, but it can't eat the dead carcass. See, he just can't do it. He can't stomach it. And I wonder why he couldn't do it. They're both fowls, both birds, but why? It's the structure of them. That's the way it is with a genuine Christian. Or just a denominational Christian can just take anything. But a genuine, born-again Christian cannot take the things of the world. He's constructed different. I found out that the dove don't have any gall. There's no gall in a dove because he has no need of it. So that's the way it is with a Christian. He doesn't need any bitterness. See? Because he only can eat the food of God. And it doesn't take bitterness to dissolve that. It takes love. So to dissolve the food. Bitterness always say, well, there's a difference with it, but love always receives it. The Word of God. Now, he has no gall, so therefore he could not. It's just against him to eat anything bad. And if he would, it would kill him. But there's no danger he isn't going to eat it because he has no appetite for it. That's the way as a real Christian. Did you know a real Christian doesn't have even any sin at all imputed to him? David said, "Blessed is the man who God will not impute sin to." When you're washed in the blood of the Lamb, not by make-believe, but really the blood of the Lamb, God does not impute to you anything that's done. Because you're under the blood and He doesn't see it. As a blood sacrifice, the only thing He can see you in is the way He saw you before the foundation of the world when He put your name in the Lamb's Book of Life. That's all He can look at, because you are redeemed from everything that was ever done. You're washed in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore, there's no gall in you, there's no unclean habit in you, because that the blood of the Lamb has did this, and God cannot impute sin to you as you've got a sin offering laying there waiting for you. Well, you say, that gives me plenty of room then, Brother Branham. I can do what I want to. I always do. Always. But when a man can really see what Jesus done for him and turn around and do something contrary to him, it shows he never received Christ. I got a little wife sitting back there, 10 years younger than me and as gray as I am. The reason is because she stood between me and the outside world. If I was going overseas, now wouldn't this be some sort of a family to live in? If I'd gather my family around me and I'd say, "Look here, Mrs. Branham, you want to realize that you're Miss William Branham. Thou shalt not have any other husbands while I'm gone. Don't you make eyes at any other man. And all these things, don't you flirt at all. If you do, when I come back, I'm going to divorce you." She'd turn around and say, "Now, my good man, I want to tell you something also. Thou shalt not take out any other woman while you're gone. Thou shalt not do this and that. If you do, just consider yourself divorced when you come home." Now, wouldn't that be a loving family? No. If I really love her, though I believe if I did make a mistake and slip and do something wrong, I believe she'd forgive me for it, because she loves me. And if she did, I believe I'd forgive her for it. Certainly. Because I love her. But if I love her like that, as long as I love her like that, she has no worry. Though she would forgive me, I wouldn't hurt her for nothing. I'd feel the guiltiest guy in the world. I couldn't wait for the minute I'd tell her about what I'd done. Because I love her. Well, that's, if I love her with filial love like that, how much greater would my agape love be to Jesus Christ? Though I might smoke a cigarette, I never in my life, but though I would, He might forgive me for it. I believe He would. If I took a drink, I never in my life, but I believe He'd forgive me for it. But I love Him too much. God help me, I don't want to do anything like that. See? Because I love Him. That stuff is gone from me. Because when He changed me from a crow to a dove, it made a difference. My appetite and things left me. Then sin is not imputed to me because I don't aim to do it. It's not in me to do it. Now, another great thing about this dove, he's a strange bird. Did you ever see all the birds? One of my favorite birds is a robin. Now, you boys quit shooting my robin. See, because I don't want you doing that. My robin, you know how he got his red breast? You know, one day there was a man dying on the cross. Nobody would help him. God had forsaken the man, and he was dying. His hands had nails in them, his feet, his side of bleeding, crown on his head, thorns, blood running over his face. And there's a little bird passed by, a little brown bird. And he looked at that, it was the most pitiful sight he ever saw. And you know it was just a little bird. But he looked at them great big old cruel Roman nails drove in his hand, and he flew him with his little beak and tried to pull him loose. He got his breast all bathed with blood. Since then it's been red. I want my breast shielded with his blood too, defending it when I come to me. I love a little robin. But you know, a little robin has to take a bath. But you know a dove don't have to? No. He's got some kind of oil on the inside of him that oils him and keeps him clean from the inside out. You know that? The dove has. The dove oils himself. Did you ever pick up one? Smell that odor on him? Pigeon or something? That's oil that's produced from the inside of him. His body makes up an oil gland that keeps his feathers always clean on the outside because it's clean from the inside out. That's right. He's a marvelous little bird. I know you can hunt him here, I think, in Louisiana. Don't do that. Well, I couldn't do it. I guess if I was hungry, it'd be all right, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on one if I had to. There's a dove has a great strange thing in our family. One day, when my grandmother, she come from up here in Kentucky off the Cherokee Reservation, she was dying, a little woman, and they had, I think they call it scarflow or something. She was dying. And grandfather knelt down by the side of the bed while Mama, Aunt Bertie, Aunt Hallie, all of them knelt around the bed. Uncle Charlie, little bitty 4-year-old boy, the baby. Mama, the oldest, being about 12 years old. And she combed her black hair out on the bed. And she started singing, Rock of Ages, cleft for me. Let me hide myself in thee. When she was dying. Grandpa, at that time, wasn't a Christian. I baptized him at 87 years old in the name of Jesus Christ at the foot of the river there, where the angel of the Lord is there. But while she was singing this song with her feeble little hands up in the air, a dove flew in the door. Come around, sat down on the top of the bed, started cooing. God took her soul. I went over to London, England with Brother Jack and with Brother Gardner Lindsay. And there'd been a woman by the name of Florence Nightingale, claims to be, I think, a great-granddaughter or something of the late Florence Nightingale, that wrote me many letters. She was down in South Africa, dying with a cancer. She had a picture, you've seen it in the book. I never seen a martyr like that in my life. Brother Jack, I believe, was with me that day. We went into a minister's house at the rectory just behind the church where they'd brought her. While we were yet out on where the plane come down, they paged us, and she was in a ambulance there that had been flown up from down in South Africa, knowing that I was coming to England at that time. The minister took her to the rectory, so we went back there to pray for her. I've seen lots of sick people, but her little arms didn't look over an inch across. Her skull, where it laces together, you could see it. And her limbs, way up here, around her hips, wasn't over that, about 2 inches across, just the bone. And she couldn't raise her hands. She was too weak to raise her hands. And she was trying to say something, and I couldn't understand her. And when I finally got to hear, I believe through a nurse, she said, Brother Branham, pray that God will let me die. She didn't want to live. And I noticed in tears just running off of the side of that bone on her face. Or she got enough moisture about her to cry, I don't know. For her veins was collapsed, and she was in a terrible condition. Coming to pray for the sick, I couldn't pray for her to die. But she just looked like couldn't die, she just lingered on. I knelt down with your pastor in the room to pray. And when I knelt down to pray, a little dove flew up to the window, began cooing. When I finished praying, I thought it was a pet dove there somewhere. Foggy outside how England is, the British Isles there. And this little dove quit cooing and flew away. I walked over and laid hands upon her, and called the name of the Lord, and the woman is a great, big, strong, healthy woman today, on the wings of a dove. Keeps himself clean from the inside. A Christian does that too. He cleans from the inside. That keeps the malice. He don't need any gall to digest anything because he doesn't eat it. See? He's clean from the inside out. Now, we notice that this bird Many things I've got written down here, but the clock keeps moving around. This bird was also used in the Old Testament for sacrifice, for an atonement, and for cleansing.